Well, good morning and welcome to your super morning show, Good Morning Africa, on Pan-African Television. My name is, of course, Justice Apia. Let me say a very big thank you to the news team for bringing you the early morning news, and then the sports team for bringing you the goal. This time on the morning news morning show, we are looking at the medicinal aspect of cannabis, and we have, some resource persons in the studio. We will be having such discussions with it. It's going to be an interview section. After this session, we'll bring to you the newspaper headline segment, and subsequently we'll also bring you the newspaper review segment with Kwame Osudanso. But this morning I've been joined in the studio by Dr. Wyclifte Baird. I hope I've gotten the name right.
That's me.
All right, Doc. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, Doc is he's born in St. Kitts, I guess.
I'm originally from St. Kitts.
Oh, St. Kitts, yeah. Living and practicing in Canada.
In Canada,
all right.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us. And Dr. Kwaku, Agyemeang, President of Hemp Association of Ghana. Sir, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Well, as I said earlier, we are looking at the medicinal aspects of cannabis. People have been calling for decriminalization of the hemp in the country. What's your take? You can also send in your views, comments, and contributions on 0260846539, 0260846539. Let me start with you, Doc. If we talk of cannabis, what is it?
Well, cannabis is a plant. There's a male counterpart of cannabis, which is called hemp, and there's a female counterpart of cannabis, which is referred to as cannabis. That's the common one that we know of. It is usually associated with people smoking, but there are other routes of administration that you can take it. Cannabis refers to things like ganja, marijuana. It has different names, but it's the same thing. It's a female counterpart of the plant.
Well, Vera, it's wrong for the plant to be taken, looking at how people are hostile to persons who taking that particular, hemp. Is it wrong at all to take it, and how is it taken? How is it supposed to be taken?
Well, let me suggest to you that I'm a strong advocate of the use of cannabis for medicinal purposes.
All right.
I don't advocate its use for recreational purposes, although it's legal in Canada for recreational purposes. In fact, I really don't know what recreational is. It's a misnomer, because I don't believe anybody takes it deliberately to get high.
Okay.
But cannabis in itself is a plant that has three things in it. It has THC, which gets you high. It has CBD, which does not get you high, and has a group of compounds called terpenes, which are associated with the flavor, the taste, the fragrance of cannabis. That's basically what it is. There are about 120 different terpenes in the plant, and that is THC and CBD have no taste, no fragrance.
All right, okay. Thank you so much. I'll come back to you. Nana, you are from you are the president of Hemp Association of Ghana. When we say Hemp Association of Ghana, what are you up to?
Well, we're advocates, and we're advocating the decriminalization of cannabis.
Okay.
We would like to see it freed up to a certain extent, but backed by regulations. We're not talking about just wholesale use just like that, because I know that it conjures up ideas in the minds of skeptic people of lots of different people just walking up and down in Ghana smoking weed, and that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about its industrial use, and we're talking about its medicinal use. I think, of course, there is an issue about adult use, but that can also be regulated and controlled in a certain way that it doesn't have any adverse effects on our society. So we've been working with the Parliamentary Select Committee of Defence and Interior. We've been going through the Narcotics Commission bill page by page, and now the bill has had its second reading. After the programme, I will go to Parliament again today, because they will continue to consider the Narcotics Commission bill. We'll consider the amendments, and we will plow through making the amendments with the view to completing all that needs to be done there and having the third reading in Parliament before Easter, where they will subsequently make the decision to decriminalise cannabis. So that's where we are.
Now we are looking at decriminalisation of the hemp or cannabis, and issues of regulation actually popped up.
Yeah.
Now what people are saying is that yes, we have the economic aspect of it, we have the medicinal aspect of it, but how do we regulate it to an extent that people wouldn't misuse the hemp? And then the fear is that if it's decriminalized already, it is illegal for people to use it, but people are misusing it. How much more, making it legal, decriminalizing it for people to be able to use it? And if it happens that way, are we not heading towards, where we cannot, or something we cannot handle as a country?
No, I don't believe so. I mean, what we can't handle as a country at the moment is alcohol.
Very well.
That's what we can't handle at the moment. When we look at the cannabis, it's quite different, because even if you use cannabis on an adult use basis, it's certainly not going to impair your judgment significantly to the point where you'll jump in a car and have an accident and slaughter a few people, and things like that. I think that when we have a look at it realistically, that we need not have any fear, because there are models that regulate the use of cannabis all over the world now. This is not something that we're advocating that Ghana should do in isolation. There's lots of countries, namely the United States of America, where I think it's about 15 states so far have legalized, and the other states have decriminalized. You can go on to other countries. The doctors from St. Kitts, and they're considering it now in Parliament, and he has also assisted St. Vincent and the Grenadines in legalizing. You don't hear any problems over there, do you? Jamaica has done it, Lesotho has done it closer to home, South Africa have done it, Zambia have done it, and you don't hear any horror stories coming from there. So basically it's a matter of us having a look at how other countries have managed to regulate and control it, and then applying the same that fits within our social order that we have, because you can't just apply blanket from Lesotho, for example, blanket regulation and say that will be good enough for us. There are issues that are peculiar to us that are different in Lesotho. So I think if we take a common sense approach, the regulations will mean that you won't have the fear that you harbor now and many people harbor now about people misusing it. I think we should really focus on people that are misusing alcohol at the moment, because that's a bigger problem and it's a bigger killer. And cannabis has never killed anyone.
All right, thank you so much. I'll come back to you once again. But Doc, you would touch on the medicinal aspect of cannabis. The question is, whilst we are calling for or advocating for decriminalization of cannabis and legalizing it, what are some of the benefits? Medical wise, what are some of the benefits one derives from taking
cannabis?
Yeah.
Well, cannabis can be used for the treatment of people who get pain. It's a good anti-inflammatory. It is used in the treatment of certain types of epilepsy, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, fibromyalgia, tension headaches, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression, insomnia, a whole wide range of medicinal aspects that can be treated with cannabis quite successfully. It has been implicated in the use, in its use for cancer in some cases, although the jury's out on that. There's no definitive you don't use cannabis to treat cancer, basically. But there's some anecdotal cases where it is said that it has been successful. So the whole range of things that you can use cannabis for quite successfully.
Okay. Should we look at just the medicinal aspect, the economic benefits, in calling for decriminalization of cannabis? Should we look at just that and ask for it to be decriminalized?
No, I think you have to look at the whole picture. First of all, you have to educate the public and everyone about cannabis. 8 years ago, I would not have been having this conversation with you. I do not smoke, I do not drink. And 8 years ago, I would have told you that cannabis has no medicinal value. I would have told you that cannabis is an illegal drug and that it has no therapeutic value at all. I have learned since that time that cannabis is indeed a very useful and helpful drug and can replace a number of very harmful drugs that are now on the market. For example, you've heard about the opioid crisis, where opiates are killing people. I have successfully, in my practice, over the past 7 years, used cannabis to wean patients off of opioids and to replace it with cannabis. Reason is, opioids will not kill you, cannabis will. Opioids will kill you, cannabis will not kill you.
Okay, all right.
No one has ever died in over 120,000 years from an overdose of cannabis. The only how cannabis will kill you is if a bag of it, huge bag of it, fell on your head and you got knocked out and you died. But taking it won't kill you.
Okay, all right. We've heard stories that people smoked hemps and got mad.
No, no one smokes hemp.
Okay, people
don't smoke hemp.
Smoke
they smoke cannabis.
Cannabis, okay. People
cannabis
smoke
is a female counterpart.
Okay, all right, so people smoked cannabis and they got mad. Is that true?
Yes and no. I'm not hedging here.
So now we are delving into the side effects of taking in cannabis.
Okay, let me explain to you. Persistent use of cannabis in young patients where the brain is not sufficiently developed, that is below the age of 25, certainly below the age of 18, where the brain is not fully developed, and persistent recurrent use in patients who are predisposed to mental illness can cause psychosis.
Okay.
That is how it rolls out. But smoking cannabis doesn't give you psychosis.
Okay.
It's not as simple as that. There have to be certain conditions met for you to become psychotic. Now, certainly recurrent use of cannabis in a young person, starting out young, can produce psychosis.
Apart from that, do we have some side effects of cannabis?
Sure, there are side effects.
Are they that harmful?
Yes, there are side effects that can be harmful.
Okay.
You can get very, what you call high or intoxicated.
Okay.
You can have what they call salience, which is a distortion of time. You can have a distortion of reality. For example, if you get highly intoxicated, you can go up on the 21st floor of a building, look down, and see the sidewalk coming up to you and want to step out on the sidewalk. That doesn't happen very often, by the way.
Okay.
But it can happen. You can have what we call a drug-induced psychosis, where patients who smoke recurrently sometimes become psychotic when they smoke. But that is not, again, very common. Most people who smoke just smoke. They get to what they call their sweet spot, and they become relaxed, or they relieve their pain, or they relieve their nausea, vomiting, or their anxiety, or fall asleep if they want to fall asleep. And that's what they use it for. The medical indications far outweigh the side effects. Any drug, by the way, has side effects.
Side effects, okay.
And some of them have bad side effects.